Yo, what is up, ninjas? OJ over here from PlayerEssence, and welcome to my village of Nintendo Switch and gaming news. Today we've got some great information for you, so let's go and get right into it. So another producer has left Monolith Soft. This time, Project X Zone co-producer Koji Ishitani has left the company. So once again, he is the co-producer of Project X Zone and Project X Zone 2, and he has left Monolith Soft. So here's what he had to say on the matter. As of the end of last week on March 31st, I resigned from Monolith Soft, which I belonged to for about 16 years, Ishitani said in a tweet. I was involved with works from Xenosaga Episode 1 to Baiten Kaitos Eternal Wings and The Lost Ocean to Super Robot Tyson OG Saga Endless Frontier Exceed to Project X Zone 2. But to everyone who supported me and worked with me, and above all else to those who played the games, thank you very much. So Ishitani isn't the only developer who left Monolith Soft with the start of the new year. Project X Zone director Morizumi also announced his leave this weekend. Plus, we had a couple of Square Enix designers also leave, and who else that isn't being reported by the news at this point. So I personally think there will be some type of new company forming, or these guys are trying to band together to work with each other, because remember, there's the link between old school Square Enix and Monolith Soft, as they used to be a part of them. So I do think something is going down here. I know this usually happens at the end of the years. You have some people that do leave, but this is so many of the good talent. I think it was Valkyrie Profile and other developers that worked on that franchise over at Square Enix have been leaving, and this is just too many for me to think that there isn't something up going on here. So maybe we'll get an announcement of a new studio forming backed by a different Japanese company, maybe a Bandai Namco, Koei Tecmo, something like that. So I think something's going on, and we can potentially be finding out where they're going to be heading to next by the end of the year, I would say, or maybe even mid this year, who knows. But I'm really interested because these are a lot of talented developers that are leaving the companies. Obviously, there's still a lot of talent left behind, but they are talented, and if they were to band together and do something different, I think that'd be great. I think the Japanese gaming industry needs as many new studios and as many new developers out there looking to try something new and try something fresh and different, because when you have some of these developers with talent and you give them an idea or you give them something that they can do differently, they can create many great things. They can take franchises that were established and even do bigger and better things. Heck, look at Nintendo and what they did with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, letting some of the newer, younger developers kind of take over and see what they can do when they can lead a game, and they completely flipped Zelda on its head with a lot of the different things that they did. So maybe these developers can take an established franchise from a different company and create something brand new, or make a new IP. You never know. The sky's the limit. The talent that's out there that has left these companies, and let's hope we see what they have to do sometime in 2017. Alright, and moving on to the next article, we do have the latest Famitsu Most Wanted games. And for those who do not know, the Famitsu Most Wanted, basically the magazine, the online site, they poll their readers to see what are their most anticipated games. And the reason why I go over this is just because there's a lot of games that I'm interested in, and I know a lot of you dudes are interested in as well, so I like to go over them. So this is for April 2nd. That's when the poll was for that week. And I'm not going to go over the whole list. You'll see that posted here, but I'll be going over the Nintendo titles as far as how that goes. So at number 3, we have Dragon Quest XI on the Nintendo 3DS. At number 4, we have Splatoon 2 on the Nintendo Switch. At number 5, we have Fire Emblem Echoes on the Nintendo 3DS. At number 7, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch. At number 8, we have Super Mario Odyssey on the Nintendo Switch. At number 9, we have The Alliance Alive on the Nintendo 3DS. At number 13, we have Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on the Nintendo Switch, which I'm super hyped about. At number 15, we have Dragon Quest XI on the Nintendo Switch, which is good because that's actually been making its way up. I think it was in the 20s last week, so it's actually moving up, so that's really good. At number 16, we have The Snack World on the Nintendo 3DS. At number 17, we have Pikmin on the Nintendo 3DS. At number 20, we have ARMS on the Nintendo Switch, another game that has moved up quite a number of spots. At number 21, we have Pro Yaku Famitsu Climax on the Nintendo 3DS. At number 23, we have Lady Layton on the Nintendo 3DS. At number 25, we have Ultra Street Fighter 2 on the Nintendo Switch. I think that's a new one, or it was at the very bottom last week, so that's good. And then at number 30, rounding things out, we have Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Mission X on the Nintendo 3DS. So quite a number of Nintendo Switch games there. Definitely there's a lot of interest with the Nintendo Switch. We see Dragon Quest moving up. We saw ARMS moving up. Super Mario Odyssey and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe both in the top 10. That's also very good. Splatoon 2 is a staple in Japan. You knew that game was going to be popular, so I think the global test fire obviously helped. And as we get closer to the release, we're going to see that game continue to go up and up. Maybe it might even get into the top 3 at some point. Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be one of those games. That was number 2. That's going to be forever on this list because it's going to take so long for that game to come out. So we'll see what happens there. But in the top 15, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, very good. I think that game has the potential to do better than Xenoblade Chronicles X based on everything. Even with that franchise, you look back at how Xenoblade Chronicles was handled on the Wii, obviously GameStop exclusive, there was limited shipments, they were hoarding stock, GameStop that is, there was just issues with that, but it sold really well for its situation. And Xenoblade Chronicles X once again put in another tough situation at the end of a life cycle, very low install base, and that game is nearing 1 million units sold if you're going off of VG charts and potentially adding in digital sales that we don't know about. So looking at the factors, it's really good how Xenoblade Chronicles, as far as that franchise, the Xenoblade, the new end Xenoblade, is doing, and I expect Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to do the best out of all of them just because of the type of hype that's going to be going into it, the system that it's on, that it's a portable and it's also a home console, how they're adding some of the open world elements from Xenoblade Chronicles X in addition to the story elements from the original Xenoblade Chronicles. So I think that game's going to do very well. Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia, yo, shout outs to number 5 on there. I think that game is going to be amazing. Based on the previews, everyone says the game just plays like a dream, that it's potentially even better than Fire Emblem Awakening and Fire Emblem Fates, which based on what I've seen, I definitely think it has the potential to do so. Obviously, Dragon Quest XI is big on there. It's in the top 3 spots there with 1 and 3. And I'm really looking for the Dragon Quest XI. We do have that live stream that's coming next week on that, so we should get more details on Dragon Quest XI next week. But overall, what do you guys think about this top 30 games? I think there's a solid list here. I like the fact that Nintendo Switch games are moving up. We're seeing a lot of 3DS games still in the mix there, showing that brute force of 70 million units almost. So really cool. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Alright, and moving on to the last topic here. So HAL, the developers behind Kirby, were directly involved in the Nintendo Switch's creation. So believe it or not, HAL worked on the following parts of the Nintendo Switch. So the web browser component, the Me library, game development environments, game development tools. Now the web browser component are used for the following parts: connecting the Nintendo Switch to a Nintendo account, the eShop, posting screenshots to social media, and more. So in all, 32 people at HAL work on the Nintendo Switch. I can't wait personally to see what they have in store. Obviously, since they were so involved in some of the game development tools, they probably have a really good grasp of the hardware. So whatever game that they release next could really use a lot of the features of the Nintendo Switch and could be fully optimized for this device since they're so familiar with it. And it's interesting that Nintendo chose HAL to work with them. Maybe Nintendo was just picking and choosing who was going to be able to work on what parts. Obviously, the Nintendo Switch was developed completely different than the Wii U. I think the Wii U was developed almost in somewhat of a vacuum. I don't think there was a lot of collaboration. This is just me personally thinking, and based on what some of the things that Nintendo has said after the Wii U's failure and everything, as far as what Miyamoto has said. I think it was developed by just a few people who had a certain idea that they wanted to execute. They didn't really look outside the box and kind of see what else was out there in order to make the system better, or in order to make the system flexible. And I think that's the biggest thing. The system just wasn't flexible enough post-launch, being able to change the firmware, being able to change things if you had to change things. Now with the Nintendo Switch, very different. You can see that it's a very flexible system from the very beginning. There's still some things that they need to add that they know, but you can tell that the beginning roots are being layered into there, that it is possible that it can do different things and be changed and be updated when it needs to be updated. So that's the thing that I like about the Nintendo Switch over the Wii U, and I think that HAL was definitely involved in that if you look at some of the stuff that they've worked with. And I think that's just a cool story. Obviously HAL is not, I would say they're not what they used to be, but it's a little different as far as the Kirby franchise and everything. But it'll be interesting to see if we do get a Kirby game on the Nintendo Switch, how it will be, what style it will be. And I would really like to see the old school traditional style Kirby, not really the Kirby like Epic Yarn, not that. Please no more Yarn stuff, but that's just me. Obviously I know a lot of you guys like the Yarn stuff, but I'm just not a fan of the Yarn. But I would like to see a traditional Kirby, fantastic graphics. Heck, even a 3D Kirby might be cool, or even a 2D Kirby. Either one, I'll take either one, and just as long as there's a lot of cool power-ups, gameplay is great, there's a lot of great weapons, I think it'd be really cool. Obviously, having multiple different playable characters like they did it in the Wii one, with like Meta Knight and different ones, I think that would be great as well. So let me know what you guys think about all this news here as far as HAL working on some of the development tools and stuff on the Nintendo Switch, in addition to Project X Zone, once again, another co-producer leaving, and Famitsu's Most Wanted. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and hit that like button if you did like it. Lets me know you guys want more content that's going forward in the future, and subscribe to PlayerEssence for the latest news, reviews, discussions, and more. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you ninjas for the next video. Peace.